The Oklahoma City Planning Commission on Thursday recommended the City Council to approve the zoning for the proposed 1,907-foot tall tower in Oklahoma City. Now, this doesn't mean they can build it yet. They still need approval from the City Council, but this does give it a lot higher odds of being built. The only thing the Planning Commission disapproved were the giant LED screens that they were wanting to build along the tower. They followed that by saying, "We are not Las Vegas or New York." They also said it would give off too much light pollution. Now, even if it is approved, that doesn't mean it can reach its full height. The height would be based off demand, and if there's not enough demand, it could be massively shrunken down. But Scott Madison has said he's already seen demand from people who would want to buy an apartment in the tower. They will start construction for the 350-foot tall towers called Ruby and Emerald in early summer, right before the voting for the Legends Tower is held. Now, I want to talk about how beneficial this can be for Oklahoma City. I want to talk about the growth it can bring, the developments it can bring, and the tourism it can bring. I'm going to start by comparing Oklahoma City to early Dubai before they built the Burj Khalifa. First, they are both big in the oil industry. Dubai, prior to building the Burj Khalifa, was growing massively due to oil. And Oklahoma City grew massively due to the land run and its oil. And is still growing at a rapid rate, being 6th from 2020 to 2022 and is currently 19th in the country. Oklahoma City was also one of 14 cities that grew 100,000 from 2010 to 2020. So Dubai and Oklahoma City are both rapidly growing cities. Oklahoma City and early Dubai are both similar in population. Oklahoma City has a little over 700,000 people living in it, and early Dubai had a little over 1 million people living in it. But Dubai is also triple the size of Oklahoma City. So if you were to shrink Dubai to the size of Oklahoma City, they would probably be the same in population. So they're both big in the oil industry, they're both rapidly growing, and they're similar in population. And they both decide to make the tallest building, whether that be the tallest in the country or the tallest in the world. After making the Burj Khalifa, Dubai's growth got even more extreme, and they managed to triple in population in just 20 years. They also had tons of new skyscrapers being built next to the Burj Khalifa for easy recognition. The Burj Khalifa is what shaped Dubai's skyline into what it is today. Dubai from the 1970s through the early 2000s was growing at an average rate of 270,000 every decade. And after building the Burj Khalifa, their population almost doubled over the decade, going from 1.5 million to 2.7 million in 10 years. That's triple the growth they had from the 1970s to the early 2000s. From the early 2000s to 2020, Oklahoma City was experiencing a growth of 90,000 every decade. If it were to triple its growth rate like Dubai, it would go from 90,000 to 270,000 every decade. With this growth rate, it would go from 700,000 to 970,000 in just 10 years. And with 17 years, which is how long the Burj Khalifa has been around, Oklahoma City's population would go from 700,000 to 1.1 million. Now, obviously, there are some differences between Oklahoma City and Dubai that led to Dubai getting as big as it did. But the main reason Dubai tripled in its growth rate was because of the tourism the Burj Khalifa brought. Now, the same boost in tourism would happen to Oklahoma City with the addition of the Legends Tower, because it's so out of the ordinary. It's not where you expect it to be. You expect it to be in New York or Chicago. But because it's in such a random location, it's going to bring more attention than it would being in New York or Chicago, because it's so out of the ordinary that people want to go and see it. Now, something I want to mention is that both the Burj Khalifa and the Legends Tower would be built outside of the downtown area. And the reason this is important is because it allows space for companies to build next to it for easy recognition, instead of being clumped up by already built buildings, which would make companies less interested in building because they wouldn't get the same recognition. Now, of course, this doesn't mean OKC will have the same growth as Dubai or be similar to it. It just means that this can give you a good perspective on what could happen. And if it doesn't triple in its growth rate, it would still have a massive impact on the growth rate. And it would definitely have a massive spike in the tourism. And companies would still want to build next to it for the easy recognition. And even if the impact isn't as drastic as the Burj Khalifa, the Legends Tower still provide a prominent amount of impact. The reason Scott Madison picked OKC for this project is because it's one of the fastest growing cities in the US. It has the most potential out of any US city. He sees the impact it could bring, and he says OKC is a playground for investors. So those are my thoughts. I think this idea is genius and it would impact the city so much. And with the addition of the American Heartland, which will be in Northeast Oklahoma, which is a Disney-level theme park, it would be great for the growth of the city. And this is something to throw out there. The developer said it would be able to survive strong tornadoes and would actually be one of the safest places to be during a tornado. So yeah, I'll come back after the vote for approval. See ya.